Bezos, 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 Bezos. Bezos, 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 Bezos. Bezos, 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 Bezos. I don't know. So, I could just see Rod Serling. Remember Rod? He always had the cigarette in his hand. Yeah. Twilight Zone. So I can see Rod Serling thinking about this, coming up with this idea of black and white, early 1960s, this old newspaper with the uncle and his niece sitting there run the paper, and how and they're just kind of looking at the books going, we're losing money, we're losing subscribers, get too much competition, yeah. And all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and he opens up the door, and there's a smiling man, well-dressed, good-looking. Hi, I'm a rich industrialist, and I'm smart and nice, and I'm going to buy your paper from you for a lot of money, and then I'm going to run it and turn it into a success again. Oh, and they're all cheering, and then they read a bunch of articles about how wonderful this nice man is. He's come to save us. And then it turns out he's the devil. He's going to eat everybody. So anyhow, that's kind of like what Rod Serling's science fiction-ish humor would be. Somebody who comes to the door and is this wonderful, friendly thing that turns out to be something really evil and rotten. And it's going to be called To Serve the Washington Post. That's the episode. And it's a cookbook! So anyhow, how y'all doing, everybody? Dave TV for the 12th of August, 2013. Noticed on the radio dial a couple of things. 89.3 WPFW Pacifica, jazz and talk station. Bad signal, really bad signal. I mean, I can get it on the car radio out here in the Reston area, but on the home stereo and stuff like that, it's really compromised. So you're probably having a lot of trouble. They're having some signal troubles there, and their towers having work done on it, and I don't know what. And the parent company, Pacifica's having troubles. They're laying off their entire staff up in New York, and big troubles down here in Washington. And so anyhow, and then I noticed WTMD. Now WTMD's Towson University is 89.7, just down the dial from PFW, and they were putting up a new tower week or two ago, and I've noticed their signal is better here in at least in my area. I've heard from a lot of people who say that they can get WTMD better in Montgomery County and Prince George's County and parts of DC. And I noticed in Northern Virginia, the signal isn't great, but it is definitely better. It's funny. There's like some parking spaces out here in my condo. If I'm parking in a certain spot and I turn on 89.7, I can get them nice and clear out in the parking lot, and one or two spaces. And I notice as I'm driving around, it just kind of flickers in and out. Whatever. I think, it would be a good thing for them to do. There's one of those little translator stations down there in Woodbridge, Virginia, also on 89.7. I think it brings in that Liberty University station down there at the Jerry Falwell Institute or whatever it's called. But anyhow, they should buy that. I don't know what it's 200 watts or something like that, and then re-engineer it and move it up into the Fairfax area. So there would be a signal relay at 89.7 for WTMD in the Fairfax area that would kind of serve that western DC suburban area that TMD doesn't quite reach. TMD comes down from Towson and gets into Montgomery and Prince George's and DC, and it's a little trouble getting across the Potomac there into Northern Virginia. So if they were to get that 89.7 there, move it up into the Fairfax area, and have a relay of 89.7 or a simulcast, that would give them some coverage in the Washington area, and I think that would be a great thing because we just don't have a good AAA, adult alternative album, whatever they call it, signal down here in the Washington area station. There just isn't anything down here. Be interesting, too, if maybe Pacifica sells some of their stations. Maybe Towson University could pick it up and put WTMD or something of that nature or some kind of a music format, an adult alternative format, they're on 89.3. I think that would be a cool thing. You mix some jazz in, you don't take jazz off it. But that would be really rather cool. I do fear, though, being Washington, that if Pacifica's 89.3 ever got put on the market, you would have every crazy lunatic Christian righty, whatever, group trying to buy it just because they want to have a station here in Washington. And, it's not going to go necessarily to something that format-wise we need. It's going to go to some institution, ideological institution somewhere that wants to own a station here in Washington, and we'll suffer for it as local music listeners, I am afraid. Late last week, I was emailing some folks over there in Lanham, Maryland. What's in Lanham? Oh, yes, CBS Radio. And I'm hearing some rumblings that, I don't know, my sources are telling me that some big news is going to come down regarding WNEW, the all-newser, sometime later this month, maybe early September. Some big news. And I don't have anything more than that other than some big developments. And, just using my own crazy brain, what could those big developments be? I don't know. I really have no idea. We know Dan Snyder's radio station, WTEM ESPN 980, is up for sale. What if CBS were to buy that? What if CBS were to just say, they already own Sports Talker WJFK. What if they were to just go to Dan and say, Dan, we'll buy your station. Give you the money, block, stock, and barrel. But we want the Redskins radio rights for our stations up through, say, 10 years from now. Hey, that would be worth paying top dollar for. CBS could reconfigure its signal, so they would get 3 signals or 4 signals, 980 AM, 570 AM, 94.3 FM in Winchester, or Warrenton, and 92.7 in Prince Frederick, southeast of D.C. That would make a lot of sense for CBS to do that. They could then take the Redskins and they could put them on JFK, which is 106.7. Now, 106.7 covers D.C. and the suburbs to the west and south really well. And then they could put it also on NEW 99.1, which covers D.C. and the suburbs to the north and east. So giving the Redskins FM coverage from literally practically Wilmington, Delaware, all the way down to Charlottesville. That whole big chunk there via 99.1 and 106.7, that would be a big bonus for Dan Snyder. It would certainly be a huge improvement over 980's current signal. And then CBS could take 980 and maybe turn it into a righty talker. And then when Rush and Sean come off of WMAL, which Cumulus is going to be kicking them off at the end of the year, apparently from what we hear, they could come over to 980 and be on a CBS-owned talker. Now, the interesting thing with synergy with that is that probably Rush and Sean are going to be ending up on CBS's Philadelphia talker, WPHT 1210, pretty soon, because the Merlin station, that FM station on 106.9, that was a talk station, has been sold to EMF, FFF something. So they're going to put K-Love on there, which is a Christian contemporary format. Okay, so here's CBS picking up Rush and Sean not only in Philly, but also in D.C., and what better place to put them would be 980. And then you've got the 2 FM signals of 94.3 and 92.7, and you could do something with that, like possibly use one of those or both of them as a relay for WNEW or a simulcast. Hey, you have 99.1 WNEW, and then you'd have it on 94.3 in Warrenton, which would cover a good chunk of that area that 99.1 doesn't reach real well right now from their transmitter over there in the Crofton area. So, I don't know. Is that an idea? That could possibly be big news? I think so. I think that would be big enough news. Now, I don't know. Could that be one of the big surprises we're waiting for WNEW? I don't know. But I would think, if CBS is committed to that station, and they seem to be, and the ratings haven't been so hot, they need to get some things kicked up, and I think something like that would be a thing. Now, I've also said that I think Hubbard, which owns WTOP, also should buy WTEM from Dan Snyder, because they could do some stuff with it. Like keep the Redskins on put the Redskins on WTOP, which would be tremendous synergy for that station. So I don't know. Could Cumulus buy it? And they could had the Redskins on WMAL. Remember, the Redskins used to be on WMAL for many, many, many years. You know, the 70s, the 80s, into the 90s, I believe they were on WMAL. Then they went to JFK when they were the Superstation with Howard Stern and Don and Mike. So I don't know. Be interesting to see. But I think, you know, that certainly would make sense for CBS to want to own. And yet, of course, get rid of Dan Snyder's sports talker and then, you know, build everything together and put Andy Poland on there with Chad Dukes in the afternoons, and away we go. Away we go. Is that Jackie Gleason? I don't know. Doing my Jackie Gleason. Remember Jackie? Ah, yes. All right, folks, hitting the 11-minute mark pretty soon. Thanks for watching Dave TV, DCRTV.com. Again, need some new camo pants. You know, these are getting kind of old. Send me a pair of camo pants, size 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and I'll give you a year, a DCRTV Plus, and that's it. Okay, they can be official camo pants, they can be official Army pants, or they can just be knockoffs from Target or whatever. But, you know, 28s to 32s, send me a pair, just pop them in the mail. You know, I'll put them in the wash, don't worry about it. And we'll give you a year of DCRTV Plus. Otherwise, you know, just make a donation of $39 or more, and we'll give you a year of DCRTV Plus. That's great. Lots of cool stuff. We need your support. DCRTV has been here almost 16 years. You know, in September, next month, will be our 16th anniversary. 16 years. I started the site in 1997, and then I took it to, made it a commercial venture in 2003. So it'll be our 16th year as running the site, and our 10th year as a commercial venture. So that'll be cool. And the reason we're here for all that time, you know, a good chunk of it is because of your donations to help support this site. We really do appreciate it. And thank you. Again, we're an independent site. We don't have the Washington Post or Media Bistro or Gawker or anybody else behind us. This is it. And this is the entire staff right here, this crazy guy. All right, folks. Thanks for watching Dave TV for the 12th of August, 2013. Bazinga.